Okay, I gotta try to
Okay,
find it
guys,
then.
we're back. I don't know what the heck happened. Matt and I got kicked at the same time. Must be a Google problem. I
So,
understand Kenny and Josh were on for a few minutes after we left, but then they got kicked as well. So I don't know what the heck could have happened there.
I don't know.
Uh,
We're having a good conversation.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
yeah,
were.
man. Yeah, we just kept it rolling, man. That's what we do.
Yeah,
That's
just in
right.
case it was coming.
Well, I had to start a new room. I sent links to everybody. Hopefully, we'll get some people back in the external again. I hear people sending me messages right now.
Oh, okay.
Now, that's another question I had. Now, I don't want to seem like you're illiterate or something like that, but like I hadn't been in a Google Hangout, so I know you're looking at a chat now. Josh and myself and Matt here, are you guys looking at some sort of chat?
I don't have the link for the external since we shifted
Okay,
rooms.
that's fine. That's fine because I don't want to get too much going here, and then it's like I said, I spend most of my time in the woods. I don't, you know,
Well,
I'll just leave it at that.
and the external is on YouTube, but I don't see it. I don't
Man,
have it.
I'm impressed with a couple of things with you, man. To me, if somebody dropped me off in Korea and said, "Here, go metal detect," I'd be like, "Okay, I'm going to dig up a mine, my first hole." So, I, I mean, you got to really know where you're at. And talking about research, you really could cost you your life if you don't know where you're at.
Very true. There have been some things that I've hit with a shovel and kindly put the dirt back on top of it and walked away.
I call it a sphincter level of 10.
As one of my friends at the local club here told me when I told him I was going detecting in Korea, I said, "So you're going to walk around and stomp on the ground until you find something?" And then I looked at his hat. He was a Korean War vet. So um, what we do is a lot of the places I've been to, it's seen a lot of fighting.
Right.
But we stay on pretty well hiked trails and just go off the sides a little bit. You're not necessarily traipsing through too much brush because Korea is a very mountainy country, and we're talking, inclines and soft dirt like this, which makes you really think about those guys when they went over there and, they're fighting the Korean War. They're carrying all that pack and everything on their backs and trying to fight up a hill like this.
Yeah.
And I'm just carrying a backpack with some water and a detector, and I'm sliding back 3 steps for every one I'm doing. So, I mean, sometimes we'll have to go that way to get up to where we're going on a ridge line to detect.
Right.
But the ancient Korean highways, what they would do is they would find a low spot in a hill, like anybody else would. To go
Least
from
path of resistance.
Yeah, it's path of least resistance from one village to the other, rather than hiking all the way around to get what would take 2 hours to get to 3 days.
Right.
And what they figured out was, we could see this if we climb up the hill right here. We can see the other village. Well, what if we go over this ridge line and go down to the next valley? There's a village over there, a village over there. So the hills became the highway systems.
Right.
And at these points where these trails on the ridge lines would meet and the trails going over the valleys or the dips in the hills, well, those are crossroads.
That's where I'd be swinging.
And that's where people would set up, I got my little snack stand here. Hey, I just made some noodles. You want some? You guys look hungry. Or
Right,
Adachi
yeah.
would sit down and, take a break after hauling his mules up. So,
And that's what the detectives need to remember, especially, the Civil War stuff. Even though you got different times, you got different wars, things still come together kind of the same. They're still humans. They kind of think alike. So, like when I'm hunting my relics, I always go from the places in between point A and point B, and always kind of the low area there, sometimes high areas where the crossroads were. That's where you're gonna find your picket camps.
Yep.
especially if you got a creek running through, because you know they got to have water.
Yeah.
It's really all the same everywhere.
Oh yeah. And I mean, if I want to look for just coins and things like that, that's where the crossroads are the places to look.
Right.
Now, if I want to look for more ancient relic type things like militaria, like that arrowhead, I'll go up and I'll keep going up to High Point because that's where they'd have a lookout.
Right.
And guess what? The opposing army wants that lookout. So there's going to be a lot of fighting. The place where I found that arrowhead, not only was that there were cartridges and bullets from the Japanese because they took over Korea from the 1880s to World War II. And then also you had Korean War relics, a lot of U.S. rounds that were fired from there, dropped rounds, the misfires, all kinds of stuff laying around there. And then you can tell that they were still using it for modern practice because there was modern rounds all over the place.
Wow.
So there's all kinds of history just in that one, I would say a plateau about, I don't know, maybe 50 yards by 25 yards. And
So levels. Yeah,
I think
you got
all a
layers.
rich environment.
Well,
Yeah.
see, and I think that's the thing. Maybe it's just me, but I'm sure that you three have a perspective on it as well. Getting into metal detecting and searching for the past, I've found that for many people, our perspective changes, and we look at things so much differently than, say, your average person. Because when we're looking at a particular area, not only are we looking at it in say, the present sense, but
Yeah.
we're also looking at it in the past sense, because for us to make our finds, we have to understand where people have been. And people are creatures of habit. So like you guys were saying, the hilltops, the waterways, they wanted vantage points, they wanted water. So we're constantly looking at different scenery or different sites and locations in a completely different way than what some people do.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Absolutely.
you're looking at a spot today that it's got trees all over the place. Well, 100 years ago, them trees were just growing.
Mm-hmm. Twigs.
I mean, or there were bigger trees, and like in Korea's case, the trees were a lot bigger. But well, another country came in and decided we want all that lumber and cut it all down. So now the trees are shorter. But with all those trees being gone during that time, now you really have to look around and see, okay, where were these people at? What were they doing? And it's being able to, like you said, you're looking back at it and you're thinking back with your mind and peeling away all those layers of what did this look like? How was this? How did this affect people's lives back then? And how did they get around there and move? And I love that part of this hobby. So
That's absolutely right, man. And I was sitting at the top of the hill there at Vicksburg, and there was a gun emplacement there pretty close. And Chris Engel, which a lot of listeners probably know, and he's just an outstanding individual.
Good friend of ours.
Right, and we were there together on top of that hill, and he'd find a nice button, and I found this right after I found this bullet that was made into a pencil. I sat down and I just kind of looked around, and you think, man, we found these little splinters of bones. We know that this hill just got bombarded, and they're sitting on hallowed ground. And when you really think about it, you kind of get that chill factor. But it's impressive. I believe detectors today are truly, I hope for the most part, at least the ones I know, are in it for preserving the history and not only just getting out in nature, but or the hunt, but the actual preservation of the history. And that's why last week's Beyond Sight and Sound show with Frank was so important, because getting a tone, pulling out of the ground is just part of the story.
Right,
You've
that's
got
half the battle.
Right. You got to save it once you get it out. I mean, so Frank, with all the information he had, just let you know exactly what you need to do with your electrolysis to increase the life of that relic. Because once it comes out of the ground, it starts deteriorating even faster. And it's a
Exactly.
shame.
Once you get it out and the oxygen hits it, the clock's ticking.
Yeah, that was a really, really good episode of your show last week, Josh. Would you like to tell the viewers a little bit about your show and when they can catch it?
Well, a little over. Well, it's probably been about a year and a half ago now. It was somewhere around late January, early February last year. I started this project with some people, internet broadcasting for metal detecting radio, to try and spread the good word of the hobby, inspire others to get involved, and not only inspire others to get involved, but to spread the information to help us all become better hunters and to do it the right way. And we started the Facebook group, Metal Detecting Beyond Sight and Sound. We went on for a while, and then recently, about 6 months ago, I believe it was, I decided we'd really throw a little bit of a wrench into the works. Got to keep the listeners on their toes, always keep them guessing. And we broke the news one night. Well, I guess I should back up. I contacted Kenny Moore to be a guest on the show because I thought he had some good information to bring to the show. A great hunter, very passionate about the hobby, and he continued to follow the show. And then one night we broke the news to the listeners that Beyond Sight and Sound was making the addition of a co-host.
I remember that night.
And that's when we broke the news that the Derp Bandit was on board. And since then, I'm telling you what, the sky is the limit. I think we both have our own maybe different style of hunting, but with our personalities, attitude, perspective of the hobby, and the way we do things, we complement each other very, very well. And it was well received by the listeners.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought then, and I still think today, it was a great move. I couldn't have thought of a better candidate than to have the Dirt Bandit along with me when I fire that broadcaster every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern.
Well, I appreciate that, buddy. It is a blast. And you knew when you had me on as a guest, I couldn't shut up, so I probably fit the bill. But I just can't help it, man. When we start sitting down, we start talking about relics and detecting and the do's and don'ts and pros and cons. You got to talk about it because, I mean, it only takes a few that's uneducated to mess things up.
Yep, exactly. Not filling in holes, leaving trash.
Right. And I've found through the year and a half or whatever of the project, I've been fortunate enough to talk to many great people, a lot of great guests, and we've made a lot of great friends and connections through the show as well as the hobby, for myself and Kenny both. And
it is. I didn't mean to interrupt you, Josh, but talking about the guests that we've had on and the people I've met and talked to in this hobby, you know, some I've watched, you know, on TV, some I've, you know, read about, and just to get everybody's perspective on the hobby. You learn something every show. I mean, I don't know of one show that we haven't learned something we didn't know. And knowledge is power. And
absolutely.
you know, whether it's research, whether it's cleaning your finds, whether it's, get your permissions, um, just down to everything, the machines, the pin pointers, all the way to whatever. I mean, you just always learn something, and the people that I have met on the show, it's just been amazing, and I appreciate the opportunity of being able to co-host this show, because it's sure been fun for me.
The people we've met, and we've talked to people, say, that have had 6 months in the hobby,
Right,
up to 50 years in the hobby.
right,
We've talked to people that he may just be the average Joe down the road, or he may be on TV. We've had guests such as Chicago Ron, Steve Arnold from the Meteorite Men,
yes,
Josh and Abby Silva. What a
great
great
show.
show that
What a great
was.
show. They still have invited me to hunt with them. I am looking forward to that.
Absolutely. Howard Hewitt. I'm telling you what, man, now that was a show to catch.
Oh, well, it's like when you listen to Howard, it's like, okay, I'm just going to get my bottle of water or whatever I got. I'm going to sit here, and I'm going to shut up. I'm just going to listen, because he's got a story to tell you.
And that's the thing. You nailed it right there, Kenny. When you listen to Howard, you listen to Howard.
Yeah,
You
he's
do,
got
you do.
charisma oozing out of him. He is one of my favorite detectorists. I miss his TV show, but I understand how things run their course. But I got to say, I listened to your show with Howard 3 times. That's my favorite episode.
Well, thank you.
He'll send a message or something, and different things, but we were talking about also people that's been in for 6 months, and then there's people that's been in the hobby for 50, 60 years. Uh, it pays to find some of those veterans.
Yeah.
You can learn a lot from the old school veterans that, they didn't have no numbers. They didn't have, this. They dug it all. That's the reason they find so much stuff. Yeah, you dig a lot of holes, but guess what? The odds, um, they found a lot of stuff. They
It
know that
boils down to a numbers game.
it is, but find a veteran. If they got any videos. Some of them won't even go that route, but it pays even in your local area. Look in your local town. Right here where I'm at, for example. I'm right here where there's camps and a battle happened here, and stuff. And I talked to guys that's hunted, way back, and it's worth it. Take the time and sit down with one of these gentlemen.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. You will not get the information from a book.
No.
You will never find as much information from a book as you will from the veterans in the hobby and the long-time residents of the area that you're hunting in.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's, and the thing about it is I make it a point when I go up to the local barber here in town, that is when you walk into there, yeah, there may be a little BS in the barber shop, but let me tell you something, you can find out a load of information. And I talked to some of these guys, and one guy, he said, yeah, I know who you are. You get out and preserve history with the Civil War. I said, yeah. He says, well, I got something for you. And he says, I'll be back tomorrow. So he came back up, and he had handed me a journal. I don't know if his great granddad or what it was, but it was his personal journal of the war. And let me tell you something. There's a reason that I found these plates at the beginning of the season, and that's all I'll say about that.
You got the treasure map.
Right.
Hey, you just gotta know. Hey, if you can get into a camp, you're gonna find stuff. There's no hunted out place.
No.
There's no hunted out place, and but that being said, the relics, on the relic side of things, if you are a relic hunter, get out there, do your research, do it the right way. But listen, these buttons, these cuff buttons, it's not the same brass that we have today that they had 15 years from now. There won't be any left. I mean, they'll be gone. Get
Yeah.
out there and preserve that history while it's there.
You know,
Right.
you bring up an interesting question, Kenny. What do you do personally when you dig up something out of the ground and you know before you get home it's going to start deteriorating? What do you do to protect that item before you have a chance to get home with it?
Well, I carry a box with, personally myself, I just, a lot of cotton balls in a box, and I get them in between two pieces of cotton immediately, and just it's an airtight box, and I shut it, kind of like a little tackle box or whatever you choose. That's where my buttons go, or anything else that may be delicate, such as this right here that I found actually in a tin. I don't know if you can see this. Let me find it. See this here. That is a hat pin off the, it's a regiment, 25th Regiment hat pin that I found. And that hat pin was actually in a little tin box. And that was a little bit rusted. And when I tried to pry it open, something went flying and bounced off a tree. And I was like, ah. And I went over there, and there that was laying on the ground. I had to sit there and stare at it for about 15 minutes. And that went straight into I put cotton around it. So that pretty much protects it. You just airtight it. Bullets, I just throw them in a pouch.
Well, lead is pretty stable, and that's the thing. I mean, you've got to know what you're doing with these relics when you get them out of the ground. These finds that we make.
The most interesting one, sorry, Josh. The most interesting one of those is when you find the one you. Some people say it's overrated, but listen, when I pull out a shell and it has a fuse in it, well, I mean, you got to think about it for a second. I have one video where I actually found it. I found a 12-pound cannonball and its fuse in it. I threw it in a backpack, and I just hiked out with it. It was about 3 miles, and my sister-in-law was with me, and she goes, "We're gonna blow up. We're gonna blow up."
Right, she hiked a little further back.
Right. So, but a lot of these shells are black powder. That takes a spark. They were some glycerin, but that, it's a long time ago. They have been some that have gone off. You got to be careful. Those are the ones you just have to make a decision in your life at that point in time. Well, I dug it up. Here it is. What am I going to do with it?
Am I certifiable enough to carry it out?
And I am. It goes in a backpack. I wrap it up in a towel, and I'm out of there, baby. And then when I get home, I put it back in the ground until I decide what I'm going to do.
Right. But yeah, Beyond Sight and Sound runs Wednesdays on 1000 Mics, 8 p.m. Eastern. It's a top-rated channel. Show archives are available of previous shows, and I also archive it over to the YouTube channel of Ohio Metal Detecting. Great time, good information. Drop in sometime.
Absolutely. And Josh, don't forget, we do have prizes at any given moment. You never know what's going to be given away.
Giveaways.
That's
yeah,
right.
I mean, and all you got to do to win is register and join.
That's right. And
Pretty
we've
easy.
had quite a number of winners with some nice prizes, too, I might add. Most recently, last week, Chris Engel walked away with an in-series electrolysis unit from Detect America.
Yes, he did.
Nice.
Right, so.
And the thing that I've found, one of the biggest things that I've found with talking with everyone during the radio show is that you find that we're all in the hobby, we all have a common goal, a common interest in mind, but you do find that the flock starts to thin, so to speak, when you run across the hunters with the real passion for the history.
Right.
Well, it is true, and that's the reason do I hunt in 105 degrees? Yes, I do. A lot of people don't. Do I hunt in, you know, where I'm at? You know, it can get 20 degrees, and I know a lot of you guys up north, like Swansea and different ones, are like 20. It's 40 below here. But anyway, you know,
Right.
here 20 is cold. So, but I hunt year round, so I'm blessed to be able to
But
do that.
but the Dirt Bandit's all right because he owns a jacket.
That's right. It is right. I do have a jacket. It's hanging somewhere. Hell, I don't know. I ain't seen it in months. Oh man.
But it
I
really is. It's a good time.
I
Yeah.
think I really one of the most memorable nights on your show was when Justin walked away with a metal detector, a pro pointer, and video glasses.
That's right.
Unbelievable. It was an unbelievable show. Uh, I
Shout out,
remember because
shout out to
I wrote all the I wrote all the names down for the call in, and you know, I knew at that point from what I was writing down, he was leaving with something. I just didn't know he was leaving with all of it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, Swansea Searcher had very kindly contacted him before the giveaway, told him that he was going to send him an Ace 250 so that he could get into the hobby. And then Swansea just so happened to win the pinpointer and paid that forward. We were giving away a pinpointer that night.
Right.
And then on top of it all, our guest that night, Delaware Digger, he had heard all of that and he was moved too, and he donated a pair of pivot head Durango sunglasses, which are HD video camera, and he even donated that and sent it to Justin. So this guy, he didn't know what to think. His head was spinning for a few days.
Well, and that's the other side of the hobby that just blows me away is the brotherhood of this hobby. Um, you know, trying to help other people, trying to you know, I've experienced that myself, and trying to just help your fellow detectors be better.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Detectorists in general, as a whole, are a very giving community, very helpful. We may come from all walks of life, but when it comes down to it, we all bond together for the common cause, and we really make an impact.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And there's different styles. It's like, you know, I watch videos with them digging on the beach. Well, I don't know anything about it. I've never dug on the beach. And then you've got the polar opposite. You know, I hang off ropes with a harness over some pretty nasty stuff, and I've been called certifiable, this and that, but that's fine. I'll pull out. Uh, I can tell you what ships the shells come from and everything else because I've done my research. I've got a video on that, which I'm going to have another 4 parts to that video coming up, hopefully this fall, as soon as it cools off a little bit. But, I mean, no matter what terrain you're hunting, no matter what history you're hunting, we're all there for the same purpose.
Yep. Good point. Good point. I'm going to take this opportunity to give a couple shout-outs to some people that have rejoined us after our technical issues.
All right.
I see Detecting Arizona. My buddy Seth is out there. Jackie Smith.
Hi, Jackie.
Go, Joe.
Tasty Treats. Let's see. The Hoover Boys. Kurt's out there.
All right,
Oh,
Mr.
brother
Kurt,
Kurt.
Mr. Kurt. What's up?
Yeah, I'm trying to get Kurt into the chat with us.
Oh, that would be awesome. Kurt was a previous guest on the show and an absolutely great guy to talk to.
Yeah, and I had that show I missed, and it was like, oh man, why did I have to miss this show? But
That was one that was it was unfortunate for you to miss. Kurt brought a lot of support.
man, you know what? But I bet you there's a chance he will be back on again. And you know what?
That's right.
You know, there for a while now, of course, those that don't know, I went up to Missouri. My my wife's mom's in real bad shape, so life happens, and you just can't be there for it all.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Hey, I know what you're talking about. I'm taking care of my mother as well.
Right.
Got a few more people in the chat room. We got my buddy Brian Walsh from
Oh, Brian Chillicothe, I believe.
yep, Chillicothe.
Fellow Ohioan.
Welcome,
Ohio Buckeye, that's right. Kojo's out there from the Cincinnati area.
All right.
Yes, and he has a question for us as well we can address later.
Yep, my buddy Nathaniel Ketch is out there. STL Tony, King Coin, Eddie Hinkle's back in the room with us.
All right.
Penguin Chick. Hey, Carla's out there.
Hey, Penguin Chick.
How you doing, Carla?
Yeah.
Great to see Carla out there.
Hi, Carla.
Hello, Carla. Everybody, welcome.
Everybody loves Carla. Okay, I tell you what. Hey, Matt, do you have any questions that you've been kind of rumbling around in your head?
Oh boy, I'm just listening to all this. I get overwhelmed. Let's just put it that way. I hear all this information and I hear all the stories, and I mean, I get lost in the story, honestly. And I'll get a question, and oh wait, there's more, and I'll just keep. I'm probably the worst person to ask for questions on, but no, I'm mainly amazed at. It's like what you're saying, how there's all these different people all over this world who do this hobby, and for some reason we all somewhat get along, and you don't get that too much. I mean, you got people in the sports, they hate each other because of sports teams. I mean, but we're crazy. We're all digging holes in the earth, trying to either preserve history or find some pocket change for a cup of coffee.
Exactly. Whether it's religion, politics, sports, there's a rivalry everywhere. But when it comes down to detecting, we're all on the same page. It's a level field.
Well, the only rivalry you'll find is, keeping your sight hidden. but other than that, it's like, hey, so what did you find? Oh my goodness, that's awesome. Where did you get? How deep down was it? I mean, all those different types of questions, and I'm just more. I don't know. This is probably one of the best communities I've ever gotten into. As far as
I agree.
Human beings.
I agree. And like I was saying earlier, each individual that hunts has something probably to tell you don't know that can help you do what you're doing, and vice versa. And
absolutely. Everybody brings something to the table.
Yeah.
Everybody is. And the big thing is my big thing, and I'll even bring it up in my videos, is ethics. You got to carry a code of ethics. And that's with everything in life, because, they say your character is who you are when you're by yourself. Well, listen, places I go, I'm by myself a lot. So, I believe in it, and you just got to carry that code of ethics. You leave a place like you find it. You be courteous to others, and just represent, so to speak. You have to represent this hobby.
Yeah. I think it's really important that people that are new to the hobby, like I was a few years ago, understand that there are some basic ethics to the hobby. Filling your holes, taking out your trash, seeking permission. Don't hunt where you shouldn't. Nobody will know. I'll just go dig a hole real quick. Well, no, you'll know.
Yeah, you'll know when you hit that electric line.
Yeah.
Well, see, and that's another great thing about it is we're not talking rocket science. We're talking common courtesy for humanity.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Simple as knocking on a door, and don't overthink it. People overthink the permission aspect of it, because here's where people fail. and I use that word because that's just how I feel it is. When they go to do permissions, they overthink it. Just go up. They're either going to say yes or no. Be polite. Carry yourself. Be the same way you would be. If it's no, be the same way you would be if it was yes. Thank you very much, and move on. You know, represent yourself. You're going to get properties to hunt. People are curious. They want to know what's
Absolutely.
on there. They want to know.
Absolutely, because
and I'm-
our actions don't affect just us. It affects the hobby as a whole.
Yeah.
It does. It does. Don't show up with an earth mover. And
Right, don't bring a backhoe in the back pocket.
that's right.
No boom, baby.
That's right.
It's the little things, though. If you even the predator tool that we use, Josh. If you go knock on little Miss Bertha Johnson's door, she's got this house that's been there for 70, 80, 100 plus years, and you're looking at it and you see the silver just boiling out of the ground in your mind. You walk in there with a predator tool, probably not. Take your spade. It's just common sense. And first impressions is everything. You'll get your properties. And the one big thing about it is when you get that property, offer them one of the fines. Most of the time they won't even take it. They just want to know what's on there. And guess what? They'll have lunch with their buddies, their friends. Hey, guess what happened? You're going to get more properties. It happens to me all the time.
Yeah, exactly. I had this fella, this Kenny Moore. He was digging out on my farm. He did great.
Hey, look it up. Guys. We got Kurt Front in the room.
Oh, holy cow! Kamikaze in the house.
What's up, guys? What's up?
Hey.
I
What
think
is that?
Somebody's asking me questions.
Kurt's at work.
All right. Mr. Kurt, this is Kenny Moore, Dirt Bandit 33, man. I missed the show that you was on, but maybe we can get you back on another time, man. But appreciate what you do for the hobby, brother.
I think Kurt had a very good time when he was on Beyond Sight and Sound the last time. And
No
you
doubt.
want to talk Cheshire Cat Grin? When Howard Hewitt called in to speak with Kurt, I don't think you could have wiped that grin off of his face with a bulldozer.
Yeah.
You still got it on now.
Right?
I think we lost Kurt's audio, though.
Yeah, his audio's out, Mr. Kurt. I don't know.
We can't hear you, man.
Oh!
No audio, Kurt.
You might have to write on a piece of paper and hold it up.
We can see your beautiful face, but we can't hear your voice.
Tis a sad day when the Hoover boys have no audio.
That shot there looked like Abraham on Walking Dead. That was kind of weird.
Yeah.
Well, I guess while we're waiting for Kurt to get his audio back, Kojo did have a question in the chat of whether or not Kenny and I have a hard time finding guests for the show. To address that, we have actually been very fortunate that we know a lot of very good people, high quality people, high caliber hunters, no matter what your experience is in the hobby. And a good example, this week coming up, our guest, they called me.
Right, and that's the whole point. We have reached the point to where we're having individuals to call us, which is a testament to the show itself.
I know a guy in Columbus, Ohio, who knows a lot about coins, who's been waiting for his opportunity.
Oh, well, we'll have to get them worked in.
Right, right. And we have the possibility of some surprise guests coming up. We won't, of course, get into that, but
Right.
you have to stay tuned and stay focused. You don't want to miss.
Yeah, I think we could maybe drop though that for the Garrett users, I'm sure they would enjoy the show.
Yes. Yes.
I'm pretty disappointed that I missed the road. I had other things to do. This is a good opportunity to let everybody know there is a replay.
I can't hear him.
That's the beauty of it. The archives of all shows are on the Beyond Sight and Sound channel. You can go back to the very first show, Darwin Gillespie,
Wow.
hunter out of Illinois, was the very first guest on Beyond Sight and Sound. And you can go as far back as his show.
Get some audio problems.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is a little bit of lag there.
Yeah, I think it's Kurt's.
Yeah, maybe he's got the chat up.
Yeah, I muted Kurt and it went away, so it's coming out of Kurt's device. That sucks. We really wanted to talk to you, Kurt. Let's
Now,
unmute Kurt again and see what happens. I think he's going to reset.
yeah, he disappeared there. Yep. Either that, he's digging a hole.
That could be too with the Hoover.
I don't know.
Boys.
It sounded to me like there were some serious audio problems with his device.
Well, it sounded like he was feeding back off of something.
I thought he was swimming.
Yeah.
Well, you never know. Kurt has been known to do a cannonball or two.
That's true.
Yeah.
Right.
What I was alluding to was that with the archives, that really saved me the last 2 weeks in a row because I could not be sitting at my computer to listen to it live. And, I wait the next day. Josh posts that on his Facebook channel, and I, went right there and listened to it both times.
Yeah, it's a beauty of the show, and everybody's got different schedules, and we want everybody to be able to hear the show, listen to the show.
Oh yeah, absolutely. A few weeks back, there was a guest from the Netherlands. That's a completely different time zone. Or Trevor Ferriaso from Coiltech.
Right. What about we had? Oh gosh, if he's listening right now, he ain't gonna be happy. But with XP Deus there,
Joe or Mo DePinto.
Yeah, Mo DePinto. That was a good show as well.
Yes, absolutely.
that Deus machine, that's another machine you can overthink. Don't overthink it. Just work with it. What works for you? Go to XP Deus Americas. That guy right there has got some videos. Everybody that owns a Deus needs to go to XP Deus Americas and watch those instructional videos. I mean, it is outstanding because the silencer on it does work in harmony with the reactivity. There's different settings for different things. I mean, that machine is, well, it's not even reached its peak, obviously, because it's going to have more updates and stuff.
Well, that's one of the reasons why I got it. It does everything, and it's so customizable. You can. I got a program just for going to Korea. I got a program for certain hills.
Right.
Yeah, I got programs, and you just tweak with it, play with it here and there, and like you said, you don't overthink it because you look at all these different settings that you can play with, but you don't need to play with all of them. Just a little bit here, a little bit there.
No, that's it.
And the next thing you know, it's like, okay, I'm not hearing anything but targets.
Right,
and it's great.
and it is because you can. I've got different settings for my deep hunt, and what I mean by that is places that's been hunted for 20 years.
Yeah.
As a rule, your shallow stuff is mostly gone. But you get into some new places. You just then you got your setting for that.
Exactly, and that's why I love this machine. It's probably going to be, other than replacing parts that break or wear out on it, it's probably going to be the last machine I buy.
Well, you know what I did?
So versatile.
I made a deal. When I bought mine, I got extra coil covers. I got extra, the water kit. I got a bunch of the.
Yeah.
Of course, I do this for the rest of my machines too. I have what I call my repair pack or whatever. I got the bolts for the coils and all of that. It's good to have that stuff with you, especially if you're way back in or you're going on a trip with some people, or it's good to have all the extra stuff.
Yeah,
it is.
well, I had the pleasure of swinging the dais one time. Kojo came up to Columbus, and we were doing some metal detecting with a few other guys. Let's see, Two Tone Joe, Digging with Eddie, and Ohio Relic Hunter. The five of us were detecting, and Kojo let me use his machine, and it was great. I really enjoyed it. It was very, very light. I was shocked at how light it was.
Yeah, unbelievable. And I'll tell you what else I did with it. And I'm a Gary guy too. I love the AT series because, excuse me, I've got a I had to clean some stuff yesterday. Got some dust down my throat, but I actually lost my train of thought. But I do a lot of water hunting, so I mean those AT series are just, to me, the best for that.
Can you tell me what is the difference between the AT Pro and the AT Gold?
Well, right off the bat, you got 18 gigahertz instead of 15, which will be the difference between, let's say, 3 or 4 fly poop nuggets compared to nothing with the AT Pro. Matter of fact, Lynette, my sister-in-law, she won a contest and got the 2 pieces of what they call the fly poop plate gold in this thing. And when she got it, I said, all right, I got to go do this. So I went out and I took the machines, and to be honest with you, it's such a low conductivity that the AT Pro really had some difficulty getting it. Well, I took the AT Pro, it hit 38 at a mid-tone. I didn't have a problem with it. So from 15 to 18 gigahertz is a big deal when you're looking for the small pieces. Also with the gold, I like the you got the all metal mode, and only you got 2 preset discriminations, which I most of the time find myself, I don't like discriminating too much. I mean, you want to hear what's in the ground, but I use the discrimination 1 pretty much on the relics. The iron audio is basically the same, but I think the AT Gold is just a little bit of sharper machine.
Well, I'll tell you, I have only been using the AT Pro for a few months now, and I enjoy it. I like it a lot. It's a good machine for me where I am right now in the hobby. Of course, I have my dream machine. I'd like to have a Deus or a CTX, but do you think the natural progression for someone would be to go from the AT Pro to the Gold?
I think that they're so close of machines. I mean, unless you're on the prospecting end of it, probably I did it just because I don't know, I did it. But I wouldn't. I mean, there's nothing wrong from going with that Pro to the Deus, for example. I mean, unless you're just looking for the small pieces of gold. If you're out in, let's say, California, Arizona, different places like that, with the ground balance that AT, both AT series has actually, with the hot rocks and stuff like that. If you're doing that, moving up to the gold's probably a good idea. But if you like where I'm at and you're hunting relics, and that AT Pro has found many of relics, and the AT Pro that I was using, guy by the name of Home Finder is now a new owner of that and a new hobbyist, which is out there slinging dirt.
A proud new owner of that.
Yeah, proud new owner. But I would. I went straight to the Deus. I mean, I'm like, I wanted that machine. I tested it, and what was funny is you'll see it in one of the Shiloh videos that I have. My buddy Stanley said, you got to check this out. He had the wristband, which takes the headphones or whatever, and you can, put it on a wristband. He took the coil and put it on AT Pro shaft. So he actually made, because he had 11-inch coil, he had 9-inch coil, he had a control box, and he had the headsets. So basically, and he had another set of headsets. He had 2 daises. The only difference is one cost a lot of money, the other one was only about $250.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I had to take a video of that. He was using a dais with an AT Pro shaft, and I was like, wow. Garrett's going to be mad at me for this, but I had to do it.
Hey, we got a couple new people in the chat right now. I wanted to make a shout out. We got Will Hornbuckle. Sorry, Will, there's no prizes tonight.
No silver, Will.
No silver, buddy. We've got Trooper Bry. We've got the Coin Channel. My buddy Gage is out there.
All right.
Boy Mania, that's Justin. He's out there. Kurt is back in the external chat. Says it's the damn Apple machine. That's what his problem was.
I'm using an Apple, and I'm not having any problems.
Uh-oh.
He said his was free though.
Oh man.
I guess Kurt's got a rotten apple.
That's quick. That's good. You must be drinking a Monster drink right now, Josh.
Yeah.
I'm always on the Monster.
Yeah.
Well, except for last week.
We were talking about the AT Gold. I haven't had a chance to see the new season of Diggers yet, but I understand they've moved up from the AT Pro to the AT Gold.
Actually, they've been using the AT Gold. They used AT Gold last year as well.
Did they use them? Okay.
Yes, they did. KG we messaged a little bit back and forth, and he that's another thing. The tones are different. I like the tones, but the thing about, if you're sitting here debating on should I buy an AT Pro or should I buy an AT Gold, that is just something that, like I said, if you're hunting the smaller stuff, that's what that machine brings. It brings you more gigahertz to find the smaller targets. I think the discriminatory those number 1 and number 2 is they're preset. You just go right to them on the fly. I like both machines. There's really the pros and cons. I would use either one of them. I like both of them.
I like that. I like that those guys are not so. They're funny. They have a lot of charisma, but they don't go too far like a couple other series that I think we both know. Referring to the guy that brings the backhoes in. And, I really appreciate what those guys do, As a matter of fact, let me tell you something. Those guys, when they were overseas recently, they took time to do a little photo with a friend of mine overseas and give me a little, hello. Some guy in the middle of nowhere, Columbus, Ohio. You know what I mean? That's really nice. I really appreciate that they did that.
And here's another thing that's awesome with those guys. And I've heard people go, "Oh, they act too silly or whatever." Listen, there's nothing wrong with having fun, and I'm the first one to tell you, I get excited when I find something, and it just brings a little energy to the show. All I can say to the ones like that is, at very least, pay attention to what's being pulled out of the ground. That's the purpose of the show to begin with. And the thing about it is, when you watch one of the series this year, they came here where I'm at, and they did a show, and I was supposed to be a little involved in that, but Josh, I was in Vicksburg at that weekend. I was in Vicksburg, and I can't be two places, so I told KG the next time we were going to do some hunting. Now they're going to do a show, and I believe on that show you'll see a spot there where they're pulling a shell out. I hope I ain't spoiling it. I shouldn't be saying anything. But anyway, they're talking about they're talking about a certain boat that fired that shell. Well, it's the same that's in my hardcore relic recovery. It's just a few paces really from where that video I shot was off, and I was pulling the shell fragments from the very same boat they were talking about. So it's pretty cool that they were right there and doing that. They're great. They're great guys.
Yeah, absolutely. No one is going to be able to identify with that episode more than you, probably.
I know it, and I'm looking very forward to it.
You know, I really enjoyed. I think it was the. I can't remember which episode it was, but they would find an item, okay, and they'd say, this bullet could have come from Billy the Kid's gun. You know, that's what's fun to me. You know, I mean, maybe it did. You know, and
Well,
just
the odds are
possibilities.
it did, because I mean they go to places that a lot of people don't get to go, and that's fine. But I'm glad somebody's there because they're pulling it out of the ground. And you know, when you get into a place like, I'm sure all of you watch the archaeologist up in, you know, at where Custer's last stand was, and they were pulling up, and they even had the skeletons laying there. And they were pulling up the Spencers and the Henrys and all of that. That's the undisputed relic. You know exactly where that bullet come from.
Mm-hmm.
That show, when I watched it, I mean, you know, yeah, I was all archaeologist. I'm more of a, hey, if you're going to come into my town and dig up a place, use your local detectives to help. You know, that's what I like. You know, I had to throw that in there. But you know, when you dig up a bullet in that spot, you knew that the Henrys actually came from the Indians, and the Spencers came from Custer's cavalry.
That's cavalry, right?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, that's absolutely crazy.
Yeah, you know exactly where you're at. You know, yeah. So let me ask you this, Kenny. What do you think, off the top of your head, what's your best find to date?
Man.
I know that's tough because you've been out there a while. Something that really touched.
You know, there's different ones. I mean, I'll just go with this, just like I was showing a while ago. This bullet right here. Let me see. There it is. This bullet that was heated up and stretched out, and it was fitted to fit this guy's forefinger. You can even see the print.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the print is right here on it, and the ink mark that's still on that. I mean, this is a personal item.
Yeah.
This has a relationship with that soldier. I mean, he probably wrote his wife with this. It may have been the last time he communicated with her. We'll never know that. But I would say this is right up there with them. I've got some poker chips that's been flattened out with initials and stuff like that.
So you kind of lean more towards the personal items.
I do because that's the history of it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a preserver of history. I can't say that this plate here is better than this plate, or you know, in monetary value, which I could care less about. Maybe it is. I don't care about that stuff. It means nothing to me. It's going in a display case for people to admire and to be seen. Bullets, I love it all. I just preserve it all. There's not one that's way greater. There's more that's like this is probably, there's unique finds. I guess would be the best way. There's more unique finds than others.
What about you, Josh? Do you have anything in particular that really stands out as significant or your favorite find?
Well, I guess first off would be the friends and connections I've made in the hobby.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
But that being said, much like Kenny, even though we're from different styles or walks of life, I tend to hang more on the personal side of things myself. Most recently, a few months back, I happened to be fortunate enough to hit an 1855 seated quarter.
Bam. And I saw that as soon as you got it.
Right. And for me, it wasn't, holy cow, it was just, I just dug a seated quarter, it's 1855. No. For me, it was the representation that that find had. That
Right.
had to have been a very traumatic loss for someone in the 1850s.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And
That
hopefully they
that was a
wasn't on the way
lot
to
of
get the.
money.
It was. Yeah, a lot of folks don't think about that, and that's not a bad thing. I'm just saying, it's just another aspect of the hobby.
Yes.
Especially on the coin side of it. Way back, when you find a Morgan, if you're fortunate enough to do that, I mean, somebody lost it, and they probably got home and went over, or got to the store where they were heading. They got kids to feed. I mean, those days wasn't easy. And I tell you, now I think every detective would probably agree with me. I would give anything if I could take 1 week and go back there and just have to live it, because people are so tied up with internet and tied up with. Not I'm not bashing it, or we wouldn't be here together today doing what we're doing. But I'm just saying, I think everybody should have to go out there and realize what you really and truly take for granted.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
I've found Civil War related items like Kenny, but up here in Ohio, there's not a lot of Civil War stuff to dig. So I go more towards coins, tokens, other relics, jewelry, and I've done a lot in restoring people's memories. When you return these lost jewelry items to people that they've been lost for 5, 10, 15, 30, 40 years.
You
And
know,
there again, that's a personal attachment. You
yeah,
can't put a price on giving someone a piece of their life back like that. And I'm giving it away. Silver, platinum, gold.
you know what you're doing, Josh? You're making people happy, man. And the thing about it is, and that's, I told Krista, little Mr. Bandit, I told her, when you asked me and talked about co-hosting, I was like, wow, man, okay. Um, I didn't make that decision because, yeah, it's cool, man. We're gonna take. I was like, if Josh gets out there under his circumstances and does what he does, um, he has connected so many people in this hobby together. And on top of that, when you return a ring that somebody has lost for 30 years, or 6 years, 15 years, man, that's a big deal. That's
Yeah.
a personal item, and a lot of people stuck in their pocket.
Oh yeah. Or even when we've helped someone return a ring that's been lost for 40 years almost.
Yes,
And
indeed.
and we had nothing in it. We could have just as easily said, "Well, hey, good luck with it." But
No, I mean that would be crazy to the research that it was, especially in one case you were involved in, the research to find that individual was just I was just amazed, and to can you imagine losing something that was personal to you and you hated it and it bothered you for a long time after, and then 30 years later you get a phone call from somebody you don't know and they go explain, hey, I think I found something of yours. And you're like, what?
Yeah, my heart.
exactly.
Hey,
I mean, that's crazy.
gotta give a shout out to Frank Digging Freedom. He's out there in the external chat.
Oh,
That's
digging freedom in the
hey,
house,
hey,
brother
Mr.
Frank.
Frank, brother
Yeah,
Frank.
awesome. Thank you very much, Frank. And I got a
Yeah.
question for Josh from Jason
Oh,
Smith. she'd like to know about your icon here. She wants to know if that's something that you found.
Oh, the photo.
Yeah.
That photo is of a rare Scout neckerchief slide. It's
Oh, wow.
the Arm of Liberty neckerchief slide. If I remember correctly, it dates back to around the 1950s, maybe
Nice.
1940s. It was a commemorative slide. This was being done when the Boy Scouts of America got involved with a fundraiser to rebuild or restore, I guess I should say, the Statue of Liberty. Hence the strengthening arm of liberty. And that was discovered from an old scout camp. I did in fact pick that up, and you see them come up every now and then, but that one has been by far the nicest condition dug slide for that type that I have seen. And I've heard that from a number of other hunters too that have found them. They don't pop up very often, and I have actually showed that slide to people who've been in scouts for decades and never seen one.
Yeah,
Look at,
slide.
I mean, the condition of it is just remarkable.
Yeah.
That slide is actually the centerpiece of a shadow box with some other scout memorabilia.
Nice, nice.
yeah, that's really good. That's beautiful. I see Kurt's back in the room. He's going to try to speak to us. Kurt, can you hear us?
I can. How's my audio?
Oh,
Hey, there he is, man.
We're still getting a little bit of feedback now.
Damn it.
Do you have the external chat?
No.
maybe if you plug some
Audio. Headphones?
maybe.
Yeah. Gotta find some
We're gonna make
headphones.
this work, damn it! I'm telling you, we're gonna make this work.
Yeah, yeah. No, he'll pull it off. He'll pull
Need
it
a
off.
length wire, 2 Dixie cups,
Yeah, come
Right.
rotten apple. Josh's rotten apple.
and an avocado.
But yeah, thanks for the question, Jackie. That's what that is. It is a bit of Boy Scout memorabilia, Boy Scout history.
That's pretty cool.
We'll bring something up real quick while we're waiting on Kurt. The different things about the hobby is, especially where I'm at, and of course other individuals that gets in terrain, or it doesn't even have to be terrain. It only takes one accident. It only takes one misfortune to find yourself in a survival position when you're out metal detecting. I used to do survival skills and teach different things. So I'm coming up with a few episodes, actually, and I'm going to blend it in with my ginseng. September, October, November, I'm in the mountains of Tennessee digging ginseng. And I don't come out very much during that period of time. So I'm going to be doing a couple episodes on different examples and what to do and what not to do. And unfortunately, some of them is from my own experiences, but just to help the person that is out digging. Let's say they're out, a couple of miles. They took a 4-wheeler or whatever, and they got off, and they're in a cellar hole or they're whatever, and they break an ankle. Listen, if that happens, for number one, you better be able to start a fire. Number two, you need to know maybe a little bit how to stabilize that ankle. And you may have to make everything you have with what's around you. So it's that kind of thing. It'll be interesting. Um, I love, I love doing that stuff, but I'll share that with everybody
Awesome.
right after the fall.
Hey, Kurt, can you unmute yourself from your end?
And we
Now
have
we've got
talked
no
about doing
audio.
an episode of Beyond Sight and Sound on that as well.
Right. Well, yeah, I forgot. Yeah, we were going to do that too. Yeah. 'Cause, I love digging that ginseng, man, but it does not come without hazards, but neither does metal detecting. And I have got a few bumps and bruises to prove that.
And I guess while we're waiting to see if Kurt can unmute himself, shout out to Trooper Bride. Great guy. Great guy. I know
Right.
he had dropped into the chat earlier on us, one of the Stealth Digger Nation.
Right, right. And didn't you say Ohio Relic Hunter was with us?
I
He
thought I
was
saw.
earlier, yes.
Oh, okay, Mr. Bill, yes.
Yeah, Mr. Bill was very influential in helping me with the AT Pro when I first got it. I got it from Smells Like Silver, and he gave me a lesson, the first day I had it. And the very next hunt out, Bill was with us, and he really, showed me all the modes and how to use it. And yeah, big shout out to Bill.
Well, Bill, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Josh, he was a contest winner of a macro racer.
Go find 40.
Ah, gosh, see, all right. I should have just said machine, and I'd have been right.
But we've done a show on the Macro Racer.
We did.
Yeah, I like that macro. It's a pretty good looking machine.
Hey, you know what? All those machines and that price for those, when you get out and you want to start, there's everybody's income's not the same. Everybody's not the same. I mean, you get what you can get, and you try to get the best one at that price. You know what? But when it comes down to it, the coil has got to go over the target.
Yep.
You
Right.
got another machine.
When it comes down to it, whether you're Minelab, Deus, Garrett, Technetics, you have to find what works for you.
That's right. That's right. And believe it or not, and this is a proven fact, the tone you hear may not be the tone I hear. You can hear tones different from somebody else, and that's the reason you hear a lot of times, well, I don't like the tones on this or whatever. Everybody's different in what we do. So find what works for you. Uh-oh, what's he bringing out there? What's Matt bringing out?
Oh,
yeah.
If it beeps, dig it.
That's right. If it beeps, dig it. That's right. Dig it all, baby.
You talk about, getting into it. That machine there cost me $30.
Wow.
I don't know if it works. I put in the batteries. I noticed he had the battery packs plugged in wrong, and it works great for $30. You just get into it. You start digging. You start learning, and have a good time, and fill your holes.
That's it. Thank you.
Well, and that's the thing. And when you buy these machines, whether it's $150 Ace or a $1,500 E-Track, don't look at it as, oh, I'm gonna get rich.
No.
You have just purchased yourself a lifetime of experience that no one can take away from you if you only choose to get out there and dig it.
And you know what? When you take that machine there, or you take a Garrett H250 and you pull a musket ball out with it, you're gonna be thinking about what machine you're using. You're gonna be thinking about what you just pulled out of the ground.
Exactly.
Absolutely, and what that next coin's going to be. It's all, we seem to be in a hobby of leapfrogging in a sense. It's, oh, I just dug this bullet, or oh, I just found this gold ring, but what's in the next hole? I got to get there.
Well, you know what? With the machine wars that's going on, that's just kind of my label on it. It's like anything else. Everybody's trying to get better. But, there's not a perfect machine.
No.
There'll never be a perfect machine. It's going to be the individual that's using it.
If it was foolproof, everybody would be doing it. You are your own discriminator.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I try to tell everybody you're the other half of the machine. I mean, you gotta operate that machine.
Right.
I have people that come up to me in the parks if I'm out there, and they'll ask, "Well, how do you know if you got gold?" I said, "I don't know until I dig a hole."
Yeah, right. I dig it. That's how I know.
Right. The best way to find out is to dig it.
So your machine doesn't tell you, "Hey, this is gold." Well, it's telling me something, but you're not going to know until you dig the hole because you don't understand that tone covers so much junk.
Actually, it's telling me you need to sit down and watch an episode of Beyond Sight and Sound.
There you go.
There you go.
Yeah, exactly. And whether it's, if Deus works for you or Garrett or White's, it's no big secret. I'm big on MindLab. MindLab is what works for me. The machine is a tool to get you there.
My local club that I'm part of, when I first joined them up, they asked me, "So what machine do you use?" And at that time, I had my Xterra 305. And I told them, "Oh, I got a MindLab Xterra 305." And you could have heard a pin drop because I just walked into White's territory. Everybody had White.
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay, so I'm the freak. Awesome. So then what do? I get a Deus. Now I'm really the freak because they don't know what to think with that. So, but hey,
Well, you know what? I'm not a big.
I travel. The machine's light. It's perfect for me. They like the machine because it's perfect for them. And then
you have found what works
going out on thoughts. They love it.
That's right, man. I'm not a big fan of somebody coming up to me and saying, "Hey, this is better," or "That's better," and all of that. I'm like, well, you're operating the machine. That's how good that machine's going to be.
It's like I bought this hammer because it's a hammer. This hammer's not going to keep me from putting smile marks on a piece of wood. It's the way that I use it.
That's right.
I think there's a whole other component to this. Aside from the machine and the person using it, it's the research. It's putting in the time to learn about where you're hunting, what the history is of that piece of property. I mean, like, for instance, you can't go to a brand new park in a brand new city and expect to find anything.
Well, unless research tells you there was a previous one there, that's the whole point.
If it's all filled in and sodded over and
without research, I don't hunt without research. I just don't.
Well, and that goes back to the whole knowledge is power. You can find what works for you, but unless you spend the time with the machine and the time doing the research, your finds may not be very productive. I mean, yes, everybody hears about, oh, hey, I just got into the hobby, bought a machine, and went out and found a diamond ring. Great. People get lucky.
Yeah.
But there is time and effort involved in this hobby. When you see people posting their finds and they're making great finds, usually that is relative to time spent in the field and research that led them there.
It's necessary. And to go along with that, you can't believe everything you read either. I mean,
that's true.
You've got to double check it because they wasn't there. Most the people that are applying this research, so to speak, wasn't there. You may be off by a mile. Mr. Kurt.
What's up, guys?
Hey, what's happening, man?
Not a whole lot. Just trying to mess up the audio again.
Well, it's not near as bad.
I don't know what. Just the same device.
There it goes.
Try sticking a piece of
Well, at minimum, we've had the pleasure of seeing.
I don't know what's over here.
Maybe he needs to stick a silver dime in the USB slot.
Man, it would be nice to hear Mr. Kurt.
Yes, it would.
Well, we were in a chat the other day and it was working just fine. I wonder if it's the same device or whether it's a different one.
That's a good point.
I don't know.
Well, if you learn sign language, this might work out.
No, I don't.
Not so
have
much
time.
for me.
No,
Look, he's pointing at it saying thumbs down.
No, don't thumbs down it.
he ain't gonna drop it. Is he?
I think you should drive over it with one of those fire trucks.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, treat it like an evil one.
Yeah, there you go. Waterboard it.
This man, we might as well all be sitting in the same living room right now. That's what this is like. Just
That is
talking
the
relics.
beauty of technology.
It is. It really is because it's nice to be able to pick up a relic and show somebody, and or just
Absolutely.
just to communicate is outstanding.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you
for
figure
one-
right now, between the four of us, you've got, Northwest Ohio, Central Ohio, California, and Mississippi, and Maryland.
Right, all sitting in the same room, and then you got the listeners in the chat. But it's just crazy, man. It's wonderful that everybody can get together like this. And me, for one, those that have watched my videos, thank you, by the way. And I have new ones coming out. So I had to take a couple of 3 months off due to family issues, but their band is fixing to be slinging a lot of dirt.
There you go.
Trying desperately to get it figured out.
I'm waiting to see it smash against the side of the wall.
Hulk smash. Hulk
Don't do
smash.
it. So,
Well,
Josh,
guys, it's about 7 minutes till 10. What do you say we get some closing thoughts and we'll wrap it up? Josh?
all right.
That's entirely up to you. I'm off tonight, so I'm available as long as anyone may like.
I did it!
Oh, hey!
Awesome!
Is this
Okay.
show over yet? I'm on.
Thanks,
We're
thanks,
going
Kurt.
on.
We're live for 35 more seconds. Oh, wait.
We're going
It was so nice to hear from you, Kurt. Now see you later.
Awesome.
Yes,
Awesome.
we heard. I did it. Oh, we're off air. Sorry.
I'm cracking up. I'm cracking up.
But like I was just starting to tell Drew, Kurt, I'm off tonight, so I'm available as long as anyone may like to chat. I always love talking shop. And, if you're available on Wednesday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern, Beyond Sight and Sound on 1,000 Mics, ask Kurt. He's been there. He had a
Great
good
time.
time.
Man, I'm excited about it. And I love Wednesday nights.
And
too.
this Wednesday, I guess we'll give the advance promo here on Super Drew's show. This Wednesday is going to be about coins. You may hear terminology like slab crackers. Some people may not know what a slab cracker is. You may hear about restoration, certification, slabbing. The proper ways to preserve our coins and document them, and that is all being done by someone who has been a coin collector and for over 20 years, plus a metal detectorist and a coin dealer. So it should be a good time, good information for the people.
Absolutely.
And you can always check out Ohio Metal Detecting on YouTube. Maybe not quite as classy a channel as the Hoover Boys, because they're pretty good. But I try to do what I can.
You know, yeah, we do, don't we? We try to get everybody information that is needed by other hobbyists.
Mhm.
Absolutely, and you want to talk hardcore detecting, then you need to check out Kenny Moore's channel on YouTube, because my co-host is just certifiable to some people's standards.
Well, you do what you got to do. I mean, if I know, if my research tells me that there was a ship on that river firing at this hilltop and there's a cliff, I'm going over, baby. That's just all there is to it. My ropes are on, my harnesses are on, and I'm over the edge. Wife don't like it, but she'll be all right.
Hey, hold the phone, guys. We got a VIP out there in the external.
Uh-oh.
NC Diggers out there.
All right, the CNC
Oh,
digger
see, Digger, Brother Tom is in the house.
in the house.
That's great. It's so good to see him out there.
It is. It is. You could give shout outs to, I mean, you'd have to have a whole show for the shout outs.
Hey, I'll tell you what, and Diggin' Freedom posted in the external that you guys do damn fine, Josh and Kenny.
Well, we appreciate that, Mr. Frank. And everybody needs to watch his videos too.
That's
Guy
right.
loves to preserve the history.
He
And
sure
and
does.
that's another thing too we should mention is thanks for everyone for dropping in. The amount of support that we've had for your show, Drew, for Beyond Sight and Sound, for my channel, your channel, Kenny's channel, Kurt's channel, the support is just humbling and flattering.
It is. I mean, and I'm serious. I'm sure I know a lot of other people do too. But I get private messages. I get some remarks on some of the YouTube videos that are like, when you hear something like, "You're the reason I started metal detecting," that's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
I never picked up and went and bought a metal detector for that. I didn't do that. That's not why I detect. I didn't. I didn't even think about shooting videos until I videoed one of my hunts. I was like, damn, that looks pretty good. So, I was like, people want to see this because I had a buddy of mine that was in a bad accident, and he's a quadriplegic, and he can't do nothing anymore. And he asked me, he says, don't quit those videos because the only way I'm ever going to get to hunt is vicariously through you. And I said, that's it. I'm videoing my hunts. I'm going to have my facts together. And people, whether they can hunt or not, or just other detectors that love watching, the history come out of the ground, that's why we video. It's important to try to be accurate on your videos and your finds. We're not all going to know everything we pull out of the ground, obviously, but videos is just like anything else. Has some etiquette in it and a little bit of knowledge. It really goes a long way for people that's just getting into the hobby.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And I haven't had the chance to address it on Beyond Sight and Sound, but recently there have been some articles going around about me that has been getting quite a bit of support as far as people sharing, and I would just like to take the opportunity to say thank you to everyone.
Yeah,
The
and
response has been so positive.
absolutely, and of course Josh being my partner and my friend, I thank him as well. That's just nice to do.
All right, guys. What do you say we wrap it up and go watch a brand new episode of Diggers?
Man, it's recording. I got them all recorded, and when they're over, I got to send messages to KG. last show. Have you seen it yet? Have you seen it?
I have not, but my episodes of Diggers are being DVR'd by a friend of mine. He will get them to me as soon as he's got a full disc.
All right. Well, I'll just say this.
And then it's Diggers for days. Miss Tam will love it.
There's a find that they found on last week's episode, and I've got the same one, baby. And I just like to flip when I saw it. I said, wow, I said, look at that. I said, I found the same thing. So that stuff like that's crazy, man. I love it.
All right, guys. I'd like to thank you all very much. Josh, Kenny, Matt, thank you very much for participating in my first live chat back in a number of months. It means a lot to me that you guys took the time.
Hey, well, we
And I'll
welcome
tell
you
you,
back.
absolutely, and I'll tell you one more thing too. The listeners, the viewers, they may think sometimes that, Kenny is the reason they got into detecting, or I'm the reason, or Kurt, or we're inspiring, whatever the case may be. But it's those people that inspire us to
Right.
keep going.
Yeah, the veterans of the hobby. Don't forget about the veterans because, you know, I'm sure for all of us here, we do it, and I do it to preserve history. That's why I do it. Plain and simple.
Sounds good. Okay, everybody say goodnight.
Dig it all, baby.
Nice meeting you guys.
We'll see you
You too, Matt.
Wednesday, folks.
Yeah, Wednesday, 8 o'clock, 1,000 mics, beyond sight and sound. All right, good night, everybody.
All right.